Welcome back, watch fans. We are talking about the vintage Rolex market and the dangers of vintage Rolex and why I believe the vintage Rolex market is about to collapse. That's right, collapse. We're talking about your Rolex Daytona, Paul Newmans, your dumb Submariners, all your tomato can watches. All that stuff is going to zero. By the way, before we get into it, on the wrist we have the Rolex Turnograph, late 60s, solid gold, incredible condition. This is, by the way, the sports watch that started it all. Now, in a previous video, I explained to you why I believe that the market for these steel and vintage Rolex is going downhill. And the reason is because you're not going to get laid. That's right. You are not going to reproduce. That's right. You are not going to reproduce. No woman will have sex with you. No woman will have sex with you if you're wearing a Paul Newman steel Daytona. Why? Because women like color. They like flashy, shiny objects. Flashy, shiny objects. That is what the female species wants. They want stuff like this, shiny, flashy objects. Okay? They want Hermes. They want this. They don't want your tomato can, utilitarian, plumbers, diver Rolex that was worn by a guy, I don't know, fixing, working in a mine somewhere, or I don't know, who cares, right? Anyway, speaking of shitter watches, total garbage. Speaking of garbage, speaking of worst shitters, UG is the absolute king of all shitters, which is going to be made by Breitling very soon. Excuse me, I meant Breitling is the king of all shitters, and they're going to be making UG watches. Anyway, nobody gives a shit about that. Anyway, so let's talk about why vintage Rolex is going to collapse. Besides the fact that gentlemen's, that's right, are going to figure out that they are not getting laid wearing those watches. And that's the whole point of wearing the watch, is because you want to get laid. Now, I know you say, oh, no, you buy because you're collect. No, listen, just be honest with yourself. The only reason you buy a flashy car, you buy a nice watch, the reason you even put on, clothes or even, I don't know, take a shower. The only reason most of you guys take a shower is in the hopes of getting laid. That's right. Most of you guys, the only reason you bathe is in, because you hope to get some, reproductive action, so to speak. I mean, but that's what drives the planet, right? It's all about, that's the whole point of survival of the species. Continuation of the bloodline. So I understand it, but you got to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself. Unbelievably true. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Italians, Stefano Ricci. So speaking of Italians, these guys do beautiful work. Incredible, ridiculous prices, but beautiful, beautiful work. I mean, I love it. This is like, basic oligarch, sort of Russian oligarch, or, I don't know, African dictator, Saddam Hussein type stuff. But anyway, so here's what we're going to be talking about, the vintage Rolex market. I mentioned to you that we saw a video with this guy Clive the other day, the lawyer, flexing his bullshit Submariner, his tomato can metal watch, and nobody cares about that tomato can watch. Okay, his tomato can watch it's probably worth, I don't know, I don't even know what it's worth. At $20,000, who cares? Who doesn't matter? Again, if it ain't gold, nobody's interested. Okay, just to be clear. So, by the way, this is I'm here at the Anthony Farrer. This is the Anthony Farrer roulette table. This is where Anthony Farrer invested all that money from all the consigners, and it went over here. So he invested your money in a good time. That's right. Anyway, so back to why do I believe that the vintage Rolex market is in trouble. All you got to do is look at this guy Buckley, this Bukiak Buckley, as I call him, the Bridge and Tunnel Bukiak Buckley, who is claiming out there to be an expert. He claims to be an expert. Everybody in Rolex, all these vintage Rolex guys, they all claim to be experts. They all started billing watches, I don't know, last year, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They're all experts. Everybody's an expert. The problem is this. With Rolex, there are no experts. Let me explain. There are no experts. There is zero expertise because there is no documentation. There is zero documentation. 50s, 60s, into the 70s, there's very few records. A lot of these watches, again, I mentioned in another video, they were put together from different parts, from, whatever. If a watch broke down, 40 years ago, they sent it to Rolex, they put this on, that on. And then what's happened is there's thousands of these parts out there. There's thousands of, there were millions of Rolexes made. You have to understand, millions of Rolex made, and as a result, there's millions and millions of parts out there. And then you have these guys like Buckley who have these parts, right? Buckley is the parts king. Now, I don't know how he has these parts. He's got all these, he's got the bracelet links, he's got dials, he's got bezels, he's got all that stuff, right? Now think about it. Where are those parts going? Is it going to repair watches? Is it going to assemble Frankenstein watches? Now here's the thing with the Rolex, right? The Rolex collectors, by the way, that is the bottom of the barrel. That is the lowest form of humanity. I just want to be very clear. The Rolex people are like, how shall I say it? There's a famous pornographer did a comparison. He said, look, there's 3 types of guys out there. There's guys who are into breasts, there's guys who are into ass, and there's guys who are into feet, right? So the guys who are breast men, right, that's kind of the lowest form. That's like the infantile, because, that's like, that's, when you're an infant, when you're a baby, the breast is the first thing you're attracted to because your life depends on that. Now, guys who are into ass, the ass man, I understand it because that has, reproductive value, right? It's, hips, the width of the hips makes a woman, I don't know, more easy to give birth. Who knows? It makes sense. The ass man makes sense. But the most interesting is the foot man. The guys are into feet. Wow, look at that beautiful yellow crocodile, alligator, whatever. Anyway, so the guys who are into feet is very hard to understand because it's very that was good, right? It's very abstract because it doesn't make any sense. What do the woman's feet have to do with reproductive value? Nothing. I don't know. I'm not aware of it. I mean, if somebody can leave in the comments below what feet have to do with reproductive value, I don't know. There's no scientific answer. So that's a more intellectual. So the guys who are the footman is the more intellectual. That's right. The guy who's the breast man is like the bottom of the barrel, basic. The ass man is a little bit more advanced, mid-level. So I'll put it this way. So the Rolex guy is like your breast man. The Rolex guy is the guy who likes the big double Ds. The ass man is kind of like the guy who collects like a Patek or something, right? The ass man is Patek. Now the feet guys are the. Trying to think who can we compare the feet guys are the Rolex vintage bros. The feet guys are, actually no, I shouldn't say that. No, I'm back up. I'm trying to insult the Rolex people. No. So the thing with the Rolei, the thing with the Rolei is that a small difference can make a huge impact on value. For example, the font, the color of the description of the text there, whatever the date, all these little nuances. It's a big scam. It's a big giant scam where they're trying to make these nuances seem like it's worth millions. Oh, it's rare. Oh, it's this, it's that. No, it's nothing. Nobody gives a shit. Okay, it's a bunch of nonsense. Okay, it's all unbelievable. Unbelievable but true. So it's all a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of hucksters and grifters out there who are trying to steal your children's tuition money. Okay, what they're doing is they're swapping out bezels, dials, crowns, hands, dials, everything. Okay, so you got a massive supply of Frankenstein watches, and then on top of that, okay, so we were talking about Frankenstein parts, right? So in other words, these guys were selling these watches as original, whatever it is. They can't prove it, impossible almost. But it gets better because, earlier I was showing you that display window, Stefano Ricci. So the Italians, who were the original Rolex collectors in the 70s and 80s, I mean, they really built the market. The Italians, that's right. That's right, the Italians created the market. In a previous video, I stated that the Italians have been making fakes for over 2,000 years. That's right, 2,000 years. They are the master of fakes. They are the masters. So, for example, during the Roman Empire, 2,000 years ago, the Romans were collecting Greek sculpture because they really admired the Greeks. And, most of those sculptures are broken up. They were busted down, whatever. They're looted. So a whole market developed in Frankenstein sculpture. Where they took the body of, the goddess Athena, they put a head of Zeus, whatever it is. They just assembled pieces from different sculptures, and if the guy was really good, he could pass it off as original. And to this day, that's right, thousands of years later, 2,000 years later, the experts, the so-called experts, are fooled by this, right? The tomato cans. By the way, 2,000 years ago, they had tomato cans just like we have today. That's right. We had crayon eaters, tomato cans, and hubcap thieves. That's right. Where is our good friend Juan and Kino? Where is Juan and Kino? Because we got hubcaps. We got hubcaps that are ready to be stolen. Unbelievable, but true. That's right. Unbelievable, but true. So anyway, the Italians, again, we said they were masters of the Fugazi. They made fake sculpture, fake paintings, in the 1800s for the Brits. They were making so many fakes. And to this day, there's factories out there. They have factories. The Italians, because, again, they're lazy, so they've hired Chinese, the Chinese. They hired Chinese artists, right? The Chinese are very good at making copies. They're great at that. They're very patient. They have small hands. They're willing to work for hours. You just give them a bowl of rice and they're happy. The Italians are greedy. They want to get paid money. They want to, whatever. They want to, drive a Ferrari. Everybody, wants to be the big boss, right? They all want to be the big boss. So you got these Italians who've assembled factories staffed with Chinese artisans that they bring over, and they make fake dials. That's right, they make fake stone dials. They're making fake stone dials, malachite, lapis, coral, you name it, they make it. Okay, so just let me be very, very clear, gentlemen, as our good friend Juan and Kino would tell you, gentlemen. The stone dials, that's like the hottest thing in the world of Rolex. The stone dials are the hottest thing. And guess what's happening? The Italians are here to supply the market. The Italians are here. This is the Baccarat room. So the Italians are here to supply the market. This guy actually just got off his shift at the Rolex factory making the stone dials. Unbelievable, but true. Oh, hottie alert. Unbelievable, but true. Oh, we're getting to the good part here. I think this is, okay, I think we're getting to the good part of the casino. This is away from the peasantry. We're getting to the VIP room, the champagne room. Unbelievable, but true. You know what's crazy is this hotel was built 20 years ago and it's in impeccable condition. By the way, this was definitely made by the Italians. The Italians are the masters of stonework for 2,000 years. Look at this. Wow. I'm shocked there's nobody here. I'm like the only person here today. This is crazy. This is usually busy. People looking at these koi fish. Think about the genius of Steve Wynn to have spent money on details like this tile. Look at this tile. Wow. Unbelievable, but true. Can you imagine, he could have cheaped out, but Steve Wynn is an absolute genius, and he he made the investment of getting the best craftsmanship. I mean, this is nobody would do this today. You have all these corporate guys, corporate cost engineering, all that nonsense, and this is incredible. So anyway, so the Italians are making. You see all the stone here? You see all the stonework, tile work. This type of thing can only be made by the Italians, and they're making fake stone dials, lapis, malachite, coral, everything out there. So, and nobody knows the difference. These guys who tell you they know, they don't know. They're in on the game. They are in on the game. It's a racket. It's a scam. Do not buy these vintage watches unless you want to get your anus expanded. That's right. You're gonna get fleeced. All right, let me know what you tomato cans think. Leave your nasty comments below.